saints, and let's get ready, because the end is near. 2 p.m. That's right, the angel of the Lord, the home of Oprah Winfrey, and everybody has to believe Oprah Winfrey. Reverend Righteous House. See you next time, brothers.
Oh, man, I knew it all along. That Reverend Righteous feller, he's one of them there false prophets.
Yes.
Pretty interesting, isn't it? Use of the new media as a way of sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. Dennis Baker joins us now. Dennis is part of Church on the Go, and, well, you're a Renaissance man, Dennis. You produce and you direct internet series, something called The Denton Rose Show. You got to explain all of this to me. And by the way, I thank you so for reaching out to me, letting me know that you were out there trying to use this new media to reach the world. So tell me the catalyst for all of this. How did it start?
Well, it all started quite by accident. In about 2005, I had created an independent movie, an independent horror movie. It was actually a horror comedy, not real horror. And I created a bunch of different characters, and this was only supposed to be for my family. And it was a retelling of all the haunted stories throughout that we've told every year at a Halloween time. And so I created this funny movie, and I made this whole cast of characters, and one of the characters was Denton Rose. And Denton Rose is this kind of Ernest-like, kind of Elvis kind of character. I don't know if you've seen the guy or not, but and so he was one of the characters, and I just made this whole goofy film thinking nothing of it, and I put it out there, and all of a sudden a distributor came back.
That's right. I'm not going to give up, man. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for Maggie. I'll defeat Marty Weber, Anthony James.
It was in Best Buy, Tower Records, and last year I just sold the rights to Russia for this goofy little movie. So I, made all this money off this movie that I made. Didn't spend anything to make this thing, but it got out there, and then I got some reviews, and the reviews were pretty bad, which I even put a review for myself saying, don't buy this film. It's actually really, really bad. But Rotten Tomatoes, I'm sure you've heard of Rotten Tomatoes. They came back and
I have, yes.
Yeah, they said, this movie is like absolutely terrible, but the Denton Rose character, well, there's something in that character. So I thought, you know what? Maybe there's something right. So I went back, I looked at the Denton Rose character, and I thought, what else can I do with this? Now, in 2006, YouTube was, just really kind of starting out. So I took the Denton Rose character, and I sat down with me playing a guitar, and I wrote the Denton Rose ghost hunting song. And I put it out there. In the 2 days, I had 66,000 views, which was pretty big back then. And they were having a contest on that website called America's Dream Date. Now, what they were doing is they were trying to lure 20-somethings into submitting little snippets of themselves on this website so they could match up the hottest guy and hottest girl who had the most interesting videos by public opinion voting online. And they took the winners after a 6-week period, and they sent those guys to Paris together. And so I thought, wouldn't it be really funny if I had a fictional character I entered in this contest, this fictional character called Denton Rose. So I entered the contest as this fictional character. In the very first video, I said to the audience, I said, now look, I'm a fictional character. Don't vote for me. And what happened was, at the end of 6 weeks, of course, Denton Rose won by public opinion and was voted America's Dream Date. So the producers were backed up by some Hollywood execs, this company called Go Fish at the time, which is now defunct. But they called me up, and they said, okay, you're the winner of America's Dream Date. We want to fly out to L.A. So I flew out to L.A. completely in character. These guys have never met me, did not know I was a 40-year-old guy. And so they flew me out to L.A. I get off the plane in costume, and I get to the hotel. They don't see me. I put on the costume. They bring a limo. They pick me up in the limo. They drive me to Fox Studios. So I'm on Fox, and nobody has any idea who I am. I'm just a fictional character called Denton Rose. And even the girl was like looking at me, was like, what is going on here? And by the way, my wife was not thrilled I won a trip to Paris with a girl, and she happened to be a stripper. And I never went to Paris, by the way, just so everybody understands that. I never went. And I told these guys all the way through it, I'm a fictional character. But nonetheless, I went out there. I was on Fox's, they had a show called Reality Remix. And then when I got off of Reality Remix, I got a call. from the guy named Bob Cooper. He used to be the president of HBO and DreamWorks. And he said, "Hey, I want to meet you." So I met with this guy, and he basically he offered me a lead role in a DreamWorks film, which that never happened, but that's fine because that's the way Hollywood works. You know, they get something hot and upcoming, and then everybody jumps on it, and then nothing happens with it. So the Denton Rose character, you know, I was on Fox, and then I met with the guy from DreamWorks, and the Wall Street Journal did a write-up on it, you know, saying, "Hey, this is a great character." And that was, everything was going gangbusters, and I was really excited. I thought, yeah, I flew back to Denver where I was living at the time. I thought, you know what? I'm going to be a Hollywood star now. And then I got home. I had signed a 2-year contract locking in my character into a TV and movie deal. And so I got home, and as excited as I was, absolutely nothing happened for the next 2 years. Nothing whatsoever. And that's the way it happens. A lot of time in Hollywood, you know, DreamWorks, they backed out of the film, and the producer thought, well, they needed Jim Carrey anyway, so I thought, whatever. So I sat on the character for 2 years, not doing hardly anything. Well, in the interim, what I did was I did an online series called The Denton Rose Show, which is just an online web series. But at the end of 2 years, I ended up moving to Nashville, and I had another show called Day of the Dying Living, which was a comedy zombie series, and the Nashville Tennessean did a story on it, and the guy who did a story introduced me to John Cherry, who is the creator of Ernest P. Worrell, which everybody knows, Ernest Saves Christmas, and I'm sure has seen all the commercials and all the movies that he did in the 90s. And the guy who did Ernest, John Cherry is the director. He created the character Ernest P. Worrell, but the actual actor was named Jim Varney. Jim Varney had passed away in the year 2000. And so John Cherry, you know, the franchise basically died. It was a $250 million franchise with like 9 movies and over 3,800 commercials. And then when John seen Denton Rose, there's a lot of similarities between Denton and Ernest. What he wanted to do was to take that same model that he had used. And we had one of the old Ernest scripts, and we were going to plug Denton into that. One of the old Ernest scripts, you know, there was like 3 or 4 different Ernest movies that were never made for Disney. And he said, well, let's just take Denton and plug him into there. So that's kind of where we left off with Denton right there. John recently retired, and we have a new director. His name is Worth Keeter. He did all of the Power Rangers in the 90s, and Big Bad, Beetleborgs, and they're people with kids or grandkids might remember that. So that's where we're at now. We're building. We're still moving forward with the movie. And right now it's being written, and that is what's happening with Denton. Now Denton is not a Christian property per se. He is, the intent of Denton Rose is to make him like Ernest, a moral property where anybody can sit down and watch Denton and not be offended. Now that's what we're doing with that. The other thing we have is Church on the Go, which is a completely separate thing.
All right, Dennis, let me stop at that point and come back because I want to know how all of this ends up working together, and take us right to Church on the Go when we get back, and whether or not the church in the 21st century is doing all that it can to capitalize on the new media out there. And maybe it's a different audience. Same message, but is it a different audience, therefore a different kind of approach? More with Dennis Baker when we return. This is In the Market. I'm your host, Janet Parshall, and we're visiting with Dennis Baker, who, I think you've gotten the Cliff's Notes, has experienced the yes, no, maybe of Hollywood. But that doesn't negate the fact that Dennis obviously has some talent. So, Dennis, I want to know how all of this now goes from yes, no, maybe in Hollywood to connecting with Church on the Go. What is it, and how are you using the talents that the Lord has given you through Church on the Go?
Well, Church on the Go, it was kind of a recent revelation I had. When I came back from LA and my whole DreamWorks deal just kind of fell through the cracks, I had 2 years of sitting around trying to figure out what to do next. And in those 2 years, like I mentioned, I had developed these web shows, Day of the Dying Living, The World's Scariest Videos, and Denton Rose. and I had started to generate millions and millions of views. I have single videos that have over 3 million views, and I thought, as a Christian, why can't I use that audience, the audience I'm getting? Why can't I use the message I'm putting out there as for something for good? I mean, that's a way to reach people. And I began to think of The Matrix. You remember the movie The Matrix?
Yes.
Everybody is plugged in to this virtual world. And realistically, that is what's happening today. Everybody has a little piece of real estate in this virtual world of the internet, and they're parking a piece of their psyche out there, and they're being exposed to this stream of just whatever. So what if you take the mission field now is this virtual space? You could reach people by reaching out into the internet. And so that's where the whole concept of Church on the Go is. Now we're really just launching these out, and we're just now getting a big push to start getting the word out for these. But that's really it in a nutshell, and I'm taking all the characters that I've created. Denton Rose is going to be one of those. I've got Reverend Righteous. I don't know if you've seen him yet, and a bunch of other different characters that we're using to kind of really get the message across. Now, Church on the Go is not like, okay, you're going to go to YouTube and you're going to watch a 45-minute sermon. What it is it's something that it's a little more snappy. It's a little more hip. It uses the same formula that the world uses to attract and engage viewers. So, and these are usually 1 to 5 minutes, and they don't get real wordy or real preachy. They just really use comedy and visual stimuli and audio stimuli to try to really grab the attention of the users, and hopefully they will get the message.
Dennis, at this point, and it sounds like that these are the first chapters of this interesting part of your life, have you got a sense of the demographic that might be viewing Church on the Go? Or do you have an avenue for someone to engage and say, hey, that was an interesting point. I want to learn more about it. So is there a way for the viewer to sort of interact back again to get questions answered if they want to dig deeper?
Yeah, we work out of a church organization called Grace Place out of Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is my pastor, Tony Weatherly. And on Grace Place, the link is actually on your site now. They can go there, and there's a Church on the Go link. And Church on the Go, what we're going to do is we're going to start building a blog, an email mailing list, and also a question. If someone wants to email a question, want to know how to know Jesus, they want whatever their question is, hey, I got more questions about, you talked about what is hell, who's going to hell. I want to know more about this. Well, they could go to this link and find out more. And we just got our Twitter and, like I said, our Facebook pages, and we're going to really try to dig into the social world and try to put all our tentacles everywhere and make sure that once we engage those users, that we'll be able to communicate with them and hopefully bring them to a place of understanding.
Dennis, I want to thank you. I was thinking in preparation for our time together today how Paul said, when I love it, it's one of my more cherished statements by Paul, where he said, I've become all things to all people by all means so that some might be saved. So here God has opened up the conduit of this new media. We know that there's an entire generation that says, don't talk to me about sitting in church, but they'll spend hours and hours daily on the internet. So if we're going to go fishing for men, sometimes it looks an awful lot like a laptop. So Dennis, thank you. I'll be watching with great interest to see how the Lord uses Church on the Go. To learn more, In the Market with JanetParshall.org, you can click onto Dennis's website and learn more about Church on the Go. We'll be back.